one's coming to save you. So what are you gonna do about it? Raw Minds on men's mental health. Hosted by Erick. For the ones we never meet.
Tonight's guest is not your typical musician. This man has lived through war, homelessness, trauma, identity collapse, and instead of letting the pain bury him, he turned it into purpose. Sean Martin is force behind the quarantined, he's the force behind the quarantined. Doesn't make safe music. He makes the kind that hits you in the chest because it came from something real. His track Nemesis isn't just a song. It's rage, it's pain, it's confidential, you know what I'm saying. Forgiveness and what happens when a man really stops letting the past control his future. This is a man who has stared darkness in the face, who has fought battles most people will never see, and he's chosen to create instead of destroy. If you're a man carrying pain you never talk about, if anger has become your second language, if you've ever felt numb, lost, or one bad day away from burning your whole life down, this conversation is for you. Because here on Raw Minds, we don't fake. We don't do polished masks. We talk about the real stuff men carry when nobody's watching. Sean's story is about survival, about identity, about trauma, about rebuilding when life strips you down to nothing. And maybe most importantly, about what happens when a man finally decides he's not done yet. Sean, brother, welcome to Raw Minds. And to everybody else watching now, if this conversation hits home for us, do us a favor and hit the follow button, drop a comment, and share this with a brother or friend or father or somebody who needs to hear this, because this conversation matters and sometimes they save lives. Welcome, Sean. Welcome to Raw Minds, brother.
Thank you, Eric. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
You're very welcome. So just off the bat, I like to get all my guests to plug all their links and where they can reach you. So if you want to do that right off the bat.
Yeah, sure. So you can find us at thequarantined.com. That's got all of our music and videos and blog and bio and press articles that we've gotten. You can really get to know everything that we're about. There's an open letter on PTSD there that I highly recommend. It gives you at least a decent ground level understanding of PTSD and the general journey that I had to go through in order to be in front of you today.
Awesome, man. And then some of your other links.
Yeah. Then we've got. Let's see what's next.
You got the wrong.
Oh yes. So
yeah.
Just recently, I'm very, very excited to release this to everyone. We have created a merch store that is more of a streetwear, clothing brand. That yes, we're selling our band shirts, but we're also selling a lot of the lyrics and sayings that we've made and put out through our music throughout the years. And it's really come to it's really something interesting, and we're starting something very, very cool here. So I highly recommend you go and check that out. Go and buy a t-shirt. That's what we've got up there right now. And look and interact with things, share it with your friends, let people know this is, a real streetwear brand that is starting from the ground up, and it's print on demand. So we don't have any merch, stores anywhere. So we're doing it on a fully automated, well, not almost fully automated level. And it's, very innovative, something that a type of business that everyone could start themselves. And we can
Awesome.
happily tell people how to do it. But also that's one of the main reasons to support it, is that it's veteran owned and it's, made
It's
here
for a great cause.
Us. Yes,
for a
exactly.
great cause, it's given back to the community really at the end of the day, because you're the community that's been helping people in your, but we'll get into that a little bit later on, but yeah.
Yes.
So, and then you got your hyperlink as well.
Yeah. So this is the link to listen to Aversion to Normalcy, the new album that we recorded at Blackbird Studios, anywhere that you stream the music. So anywhere you've got it, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Pandora, the whole 9 yards. Go and find your favorite one on there. Aversion to Normalcy is up there.
That's awesome. And then you also have your Bandcamp. I mean.
Yes. So the Bandcamp is something special. This is where we test a lot of the new music that we have coming out before it gets released into the hardline, what I call the hardline distribution, because it takes a very, you have to maintain those things with these distribution companies. It's a very different situation. They're releasing it on Bandcamp. I can put it up on Bandcamp tomorrow and take it down tomorrow whenever the hell I want to. That's not
Okay.
how the shit works in distribution. You have to have an established thing. And the more that you take away from them, the more that it hurts your distribution. So Bandcamp is very much a very user directed. It's direct to me. When I'm showing you what's up there, and I'm going to be putting new versions of some of the songs from Bedroom Inc. up there very, very soon. And I've been working on mixing them myself. And I can tell you from going to live music, I recently went and saw Alter Bridge here in Nashville. And I can tell you just from going there and listening to them for an hour and a half, I picked out so many different things that I could do with the mix, and I've already integrated them. So my learning to execution is starting to get faster and faster and faster about this. So the Bandcamp is going to be something very interesting. I highly recommend you subscribe to it because there's going to be a lot more coming to it than just what's already there. But our entire discography is there right now. So there's still a lot to interact with.
Hell yeah. And I just want to say too, you got a ton more links there, but those will also be in the bio. So after you watch this episode, then check those out, right? Because this is most important. First is watch this.
Yes. Yeah. Those are the most important ones. The rest of those, the Instagram, TikTok, YouTube links, those are the social media links. And you go on any of those platforms, search for The Quarantined, and you'll find us.
Yes. Okay. So before the music and before the quarantine and before any of this, who was Sean Martin really? Like, where did this whole journey start? Well,
Sean Martin was a very artistic kid. He was also a very troubled kid. His dad died when he was 4. Mom remarried, didn't always get along with stepdad, didn't always get along with the situations that I was in. I was doing, sports, and I was doing, I played soccer and basketball and baseball. I did all this stuff, but for some reason, a lot of the social aspects of the jocks weren't always my friends, but I would always be around them. The theater kids would be more my friends. The kind of people who I would hang out with and go to whenever I had real problems. And, it was a very interesting growing up because Fort Bragg is a very small town. The world feels very small. There's very few avenues for opportunity to really do something different with your life. Because it's not like you can go and find someone new who you've never met before just by going to a new part of town. You've already met everybody before. They've been going to your school since his first grade. You know everybody.
Yeah.
And even if you don't, even if you don't know them, it still feels like you know them. And eventually I realized that, I wanted to try and go after more. I wanted to try, and I knew that I could do more than what was available to me at the moment. And so then when the military came to me just after graduation from high school, and I'm sitting there looking at, junior colleges to go to and just dreading the entire thing because it's going to be 2.5 years of wasting time until I can choose what I actually want to learn. And even then, all the things they're offering, the hell do I want to learn those things for? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of anger, misplaced, directly, placed, sometimes well placed, sometimes misplaced. But in dealing with it was something that, I had issues with, mitigating it, figuring out how to deal with it, how to not fly off the handle, staying in control of everything all the time was something that I did and I practiced. But internally, things can build up over time. And what I eventually came to find out was that your body remembers the stress. Your body keeps a score. There's a book about it. And it's important to know that what I was looking into would be testing that extremely.
Well, just for that, that's just like when you work out, right? Your body's got memory muscle. So say like you worked out, you're all jacked, and then years later you go and you get the dad bod, right? And then you can hit back the gym and it's got that memory muscle, so it's kind of, I guess, the same, your internal and stuff is the same, right? It's got that memory muscle, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, you become what you repeat.
Definitely.
So if you are constantly repeating the same motion, and that motion makes your back actually slightly weaker every time that you do it, but it strengthens something else, guess what's going to happen when you're 80?
Yeah.
Well, that thing that you've been doing, now that weak part is probably a critical part of your entire back. So that means you're going to be walking over a little bit more hunched, whereas the other side of it is going to be, just fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long-term view of your physical health. But what this is a long-term view of your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
A long-term view of the things and the thoughts that you practice over and over and over again become you. So if you're not filling it with something that's worthwhile, if you're not filling it with something that creates a greater sense of understanding of yourself, if it fills your bucket of hatred and doesn't give you any place to put it, guess what you're going to be eating for a whole long fucking time, man? It's hatred. If you don't deal with it, you will eat it. So it's very, very important to realize, because this is the stuff that I deal with on a daily basis. It happens all the time. And it's not just because I'm crazy. It's not just because I see things and I react to them. It's not just because it's, any of those simple kind of problems. It's because you see a world that is highly, highly dysfunctional, that is highly, extremely criminal, exceedingly, overly happy with being criminal, and doesn't really give a shit about anybody else, it seems like. What do you do when you are facing that kind of society and you can't assimilate? You can't get into it, but you have to exist in spite of it. That's where Aversion to Normalcy is starting from.
That's crazy. Like, I can't wait to clip that just to say, because that was amazing. What you just said is so powerful and deep, man. Like, that
Thank
was
you.
crazy, dude. That was like, that's spot on though. And like, you are in this world it's evil, and like, let's face it, like, I said this in a couple podcasts ago, human beings are just learning how to be nice. We really are just learning how to be nice. We're still, like back in the day, the cavemen, you used to just kill or take whatever you want. You know what I mean? Even back in like the medieval days or the cowboy days, and as we grow, we're learning to be nice, but we're living in that era, and you're absorbing all of that stuff. You know what I mean? You really are absorbing all of that. So like, how do you, how do you go through that and like be able to, and it's thick. It's like going through fog, and it's thick, evil shit, man, but you need that, like, that light lantern or whatever it is to like fucking push that shit away, man.
Yeah. There's a few things you need. You need a guiding light. You
Yeah.
need a North Star. And in this case, what that needs to be is not an external source. And if you say the Bible, you're fucking wrong. All right. The external source is not going to work. The internal source that it needs to come from is from your morals and values. What happens when the shit hits the fan? What are you when the chips are down? What are you when your back is in the corner? If you don't know that, guess what? You're not ready to walk through the fucking fog, man. You're not ready. You need to go back and you need to put on some regular goggles and start learning again. You're not ready. It's important to realize that this is the first step. You got to be honest with yourself. Because guess what? You're going to be surrounded by lies. And if you don't know what the truth is, guess what? You're just going to be easily manipulated out of it. And you're going to be tricked. And then you're going to be stomped on. And then you have to pick up and deal with that. And that's an entirely different set of skills to deal with that.
And you're compounding it, right? You know what I mean? And it's going to be compounding on all the other shit that you got. You know what I mean?
Right. So the first mistake is to say, I am going to look towards a community to lead me. Well, guess what? Communities are corruptible. People are evil. People are easily corruptible. If they're not aware of it, and usually, guess what? Most of the time, we aren't. That's the problem with manipulation. We don't realize it. If we knew it, we wouldn't be manipulated by it. But that's why propaganda fucking works. So because we think we're better than it. And guess what? We're not. You need to adjust for the reality of the things and be honest with yourself. That's what the guiding light really is. It's an internal understanding of the honesty that you can bring to yourself so that you can come to the correct solution, the correct understanding, the correct perspective. Because otherwise, how are you supposed to see through something like a dense fog of everyone's lying, everyone's a criminal, everyone's, doing this? How am I supposed to walk through this? Well, the truth is that though all of those things are assumptions. It's the fog of what we don't see. The closer that we get to understanding, to making the known or making the unknown known, that's when we start getting through the actual fog. That's when we can start walking through and go, oh, There's floor there. There's a desk there. Okay, so I can know not to throw my knee in front of that thing anymore. You learn from experience. And if you can constantly learn from experience and cultivate what you have into knowledge and then apply it, guess what? You've just used critical thinking, which is the second thing that you need. You need critical thinking. If you aren't able to critically discern the styles and proof and levels of evidence that make something real, guess what? You're not going to be able to determine what is real. So this is also very, very important. Critical thinking.
Wow. I'm kind of, have you done any TED Talks? I just sorry to cut you off,
but I am going to,
man.
I'm going to fuck up that system.
Yeah,
I am ready to go, man.
Yeah,
I am ready to go.
Yeah, I can see, I'm sitting here, there's fuck even your music, man. You got some kind of skill here that's just, I mean, it's music going into the music, that skill, but I mean, wow, dude, you give me goosebumps. Just the way that you're explaining things is just and it's wild, man. I mean, fuck, dude. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, this, you know where this really comes from? It comes from a deep, deep sadness of sitting with these problems and not having an answer. Almost every day I sit, just a couple hours ago, extremely sad, yelled at my dog for no good reason. She walked over in the other room and I felt terrible. But at the same time, I couldn't get up and go to apologize to her because I was already dealing with what she was trying to help me with was already taking over my mind. In a second, that microcosm made me realize this is what PTSD is. And it happens with my dog, with the relationship that I have with my dog. How much more compounded do you think that is with humans and everyone you meet? These are the problems that we're dealing with. This is where it comes from. It's not from a place of, well, it was okay. And then, this is how you just sort of sail through. No, this is from starting at the ground where you have been kicked and beaten to the ground. You've been betrayed. You've been absolutely thrown across the room. You've been torn up in every single way that is possible. How do you pick up and continue forward? That's where this stuff comes from.
Powerful, man. It's powerful. Yeah, it's you know what? You have to live it, and I hate to say this, but you have to live it and have that grit to be able to, work out these problems, really. You have to be able to sit there in your feelings. You're gonna, and really welcome them in a sense too. You know what I mean? You really have to welcome these feelings in. And it's scary, man. I've been there, it is. It's really scary, I have PTSD. Well, I still have a little bit of it. And it was because of eating meat, man. PTSD of eating meat. And it can happen at PTSD of anything, and I had it from eating meat because as a child, my punishment was forced to eat cubes of meat for about 45 minutes. And this lady would take a fork and shove it in my mouth, take another one and hold it in front of my mouth until I finished it, shoved it in my mouth, and just did that. And I would run to the bathroom, puke it out, come back, sit down, be crying, and she just kept on doing that for about half an hour, 45 minutes, because I got in trouble. And it really messed up my mind that anytime I wanted to eat meat, it made me want to puke, even though it smelled so goddamn good and I wanted to eat it. My best friend, he used to trick me and put it in food and trick me. But as soon as he smiled, it would be like, boom, I know. And I would want to puke and I would go puke. And then I was at the age of 32 is when I first time started eating meat. It was my Wagyu steak of all, and it's the best goddamn steak I've ever had in my life.
You picked a good one.
Yeah, man, exactly, right? And now every year, I try to go every year. I try to go to this hibachi or whatever. They make the stuff in front of you. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah,
yeah. And the Wagyu steak. Every time I go there and I get either an 8-ounce Wagyu steak, and they're expensive, man. It's like $400, man, for this way. But I mean, it's worth it. And it's the only thing I really like for myself. So once a year, and it's a big thing for me. Because that was a huge hurdle from the age of 5 all the way up to 32. You know what I mean? That huge hurdle, man. So I celebrate with that.
That's very good. And that story, it brings up some of the principles that create the condition for PTSD. And especially one of those is the conditioning. The conditioning that was going on in that time set you up in your mind to continue it long after the situations were over. That's an important thing to remember, is that those traumas, because it was a trauma, keeps you in a mentality that is like a cage. The rest of some aspect of the world is cut off because you can't experience it.
Well, and it's true. Like a lot of people that deal with trauma when they're very young too, especially a lot in women, their voices will stay almost like childlike. You know what I mean? And it's
Oh,
a
yeah,
true
sure.
thing because they're
Yes.
stuck in
Coping
that.
mechanisms, defense mechanisms.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When it's coming down to survival mode and you do the things that you need to survive, those things become conditioned.
Yeah.
The feelings in your nervous system, when it gets to that survival mode, becomes conditioned. If you stay there for too long, eventually it'll be conditioned. So that eventually leads to you're only able to see the emotional thing that is saying, run the fuck away. This is the worst thing in the world. Run. That's all that your mind is telling you. Whereas it's just a piece of steak.
Yeah. And I want
But
to.
what
I'm
it
battling
represents,
myself.
but what it represents is everything that is evil to you. It's an important thing for the comment section to remember is you're looking at someone who has been conditioned to believe specific things and associate specific things with an inanimate thing because of experiences. That in essence is PTSD. When it comes to war, when it comes to people, I'll tell you one experience that will connect.
Can I just touch on one more thing with that?
Yes.
So on top of that though too, I dealt with that, but then I felt very really shitty. I got depressed because I couldn't eat meat, and then people would make fun of me because I wouldn't eat it. So that piled on top of.
Yes. Then a guilt and shame level. Yes. Then that guilt and shame level. Yes.
Yeah.
Takes another level of internal toll. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that one is the secondary effect of it because in the same thing, I know this so well. And I completely feel with you because, there is a guilt and a shame that goes along with the trauma that you experience. Doesn't matter what kind of trauma it is.
Yeah.
I have talked to so many different trauma survivors, and every single one of them says the fucking same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing you just said. There's a guilt and shame that goes along with it, regardless of if there is any actual reason to be guilty or shameful about any of it.
Yeah.
Usually there's not. Usually it's something that's perpetuated upon you. So why would you feel guilt and shame about it? It wasn't your fucking choice. You had to deal with it. Why would you feel guilt and shame about it? You shouldn't. You don't.
And that was almost harder. You know what I mean?
Right.
That was
And it
almost because I'm with my friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Those thoughts make it harder.
Yeah, because I'm with my friends and they're like, oh, ha ha ha, and then it make me feel like, oh, he's going to Subway and he's only eating like a vegetable. You know what I mean? Like, where's your meat, asshole? Kind of thing. And it really it tore me. But then I would just kind of joke with it. You know what I mean? While I'm and that's the fight or flight, or that's my mechanism of and I would just joke around, right? Yeah. Now I just tell everybody fuck you, but as in I was a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ask him if it's Wagyu, then say if it's not, be like, you fucking peasant. What are you eating sub quality meats for, you piece of shit? Shame them for their own meat choice. That would be my choice. But I'll tell you the story that I have that goes along with this. When I got back from Iraq, I lived in St. Paul, Minneapolis. And in St. Paul, Minneapolis, maybe you're familiar with it, they have a large Somalian Muslim population there.
Mm-hmm.
Very large. Okay. And when we were there, a lot of Iraqi refugees would go to St. Paul, Minneapolis. Why? Because it's a wonderful fucking city with an amazing setup for survivors and refugees to be there. And it has been that way for a long time and will continue to be that way, fuckers. Anyway, the point is that I was walking down a street around, 3rd Avenue. So, across this bridge around downtown Minneapolis. And I saw 4 women walking towards me, and they were all in burqas, the long one where you only see the eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I had seen those only a few times in Iraq. I didn't have a large experienced association with them, but I had prejudices and associations with it. I had experiences. They were anecdotal. None of them were like, these people are going to kill me. But the reaction that I had to it was, holy shit, maybe they could. And my brain couldn't get out of that threat assessment mode. And so I stopped on the bridge and I'm like, I just need to take a few breaths. I'll be okay. Maybe they won't notice. Just let them walk by, be in my own world, and be peace, and try to, I didn't realize at the time I was avoiding the problem, but that was my way of coping with it. They stopped and they said, look, we can see that you're having a really tough time and we understand, man. It's not a normal time right now for what we're wearing, but this is the choice that we've made for ourselves. And I promise you, we're peaceful. We're here to help you. And we'll talk about anything that you need to help you be okay. Are you okay? Perfect English, mind you. All of this is in perfect English. So I had zero reason to fear them at all. Zero reason. And they helped me get through. And I said, I've recently gotten back from Iraq. I was, in the airborne infantry. I had seen a lot of things. It just set it off. It wasn't you guys personally. No, we understand it wasn't. But they sat there with me for a solid 10 minutes and talked with me to help me through that because they saw I was in some kind of distress about it simply from seeing them. And they stopped and confronted it with me. And that's when I realized, damn, they're stronger than I was.
Crazy. How did that like with that in that moment, did it just kind of like change for you?
It started to click for me. I started to realize some things. I started to realize some ingrained biases had been put into my mind and into my psyche that I didn't even realize. I had no accountability for them at all because I didn't think that they were a problem. But when confronted in the situation, they reared their ugly head. Well, then I guess that means it is a problem then, isn't it? So when you can take that objective look at it, then you can start to realize, oh, maybe I'm the problem. And that's a very important aspect of dealing with mental health. If you can't ever be the problem, guess what? You've got a problem there, bud.
Definitely.
Because you're never the problem. Bullshit. Fucking bullshit. It takes two to tango at least. At least, man. And when it comes to community organization and groupthink, man, you are definitely responsible because I was just following orders is not a fucking acceptable defense.
That is true, man. Like, no, fuck that shit. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And this is the way that the world really is. So it is very, very imperative that we start to match our understanding and our gusto for mental health to match the energy that is put out to us, redirect it in a positive way. Because
it's like
if
a
we
filter
don't,
almost, right? Like
it is
filter.
I think of it like judo. You have to judo these things. And I don't mean avoid them. Judo is about redirecting energy. You're not striking in judo. You're not kicking in judo. You're redirecting energy. When someone does throw a kick, you grab their foot and throw them. Someone throws a punch, you take them off of their balancing axis and you bring them down to the ground. That's judo. You use their energy against them. To me, that's how I view mental health. You don't sit there and try to and just take the punches. You learn to dodge. Yes, you learn to dodge bullets. You set boundaries. You create, an understanding of personality profile types. You have an understanding of how people can be so that when they show you who they are, you won't be that surprised. Usually.
Yeah.
That's how you set that up. But if you aren't objective about it, about yourself and about any of those things, about the reality of the world that you're facing, guess what? You're always going to be a step behind.
I got a good saying that we'll go with there. I read a book. I've read it probably about 9 times now, and it's Unfuck Yourself.
Yeah.
And have you read it? Great.
No, but I'm very familiar with the phrase. Yes.
It's so good. I come back to it all the time. It's such a great book. I got it in audio, and John, the guy that does it, he's a Scottish guy, and I'm Scottish, so it's even better. It's great for me. But the accent and how he says it, and right off the bat, he's like, if you don't want help or something like this, then go gift this book to someone else because this book isn't for you. Like, he's straight up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Straight up. Great, right?
Yeah.
But what he says, he's like, what the mindset you have to have is you have to don't expect anything and accept everything. And I thought that would go perfect for what you were talking about there.
Yes.
And that's the kind of mindset that you need to have because no one, you can't, because people are going to let you down in your life. You yourself will let yourself down in life,
Yes.
So like you can't live like that, you can't.
Yes. In the end, then forgiveness becomes a very, very important part of growth.
Definitely. Yes.
If you can't forgive yourself, well, you can't move on. You can't get to acceptance. So that means you're going to be stuck in that grief cycle forever until you realize that acceptance comes from forgiveness of self. That's the process. It's simple, simply stated, extremely hard to do.
It
never easy.
You
Never
see,
easy.
like a lot of people, like they'll write forgiveness, and you don't have to even go and see the person or call them or anything. But you have to forgive, like, even the people out of your own heart if you're holding to them, or even forgive yourself, like you're saying. because you let yourself down. You need to forget yourself because you're going to hold that weight and it's going to just pull you down, man.
I will say that you don't need to forgive everybody.
Well,
you have to forgive yourself.
You forgive yourself, yes.
Because the truth is that some people are not worthy of your forgiveness.
Sometimes I guess
sometimes the boundary comes from a complete disregard for anything having to do with you. You can't have that kind of person close to you and expect that something good is going to come from it. That's stupid. You have to put up a boundary for them. And if you can forgive them from a distance, it's better than not forgiving them at all. However, if they really, truly don't deserve it, then who you need to forgive then is yourself for letting that person into your world and understanding how to not let that happen again. And then moving forward. Sometimes that's the process. Sometimes it is a catharsis. You forgive them, they forgive you. It's an understanding. You all come to a conclusion. It all works out just fine.
I wasn't talking about that like that. I know. I was talking about. I think I'm saying the same thing as like you're saying. So you forgive them from afar, but you're not really saying like you forgive them to let that weight, I guess, that it holds you down. You know what I mean? So you can let that go. That's what I was talking about. Like that forgiveness. I'm not saying that, what they did is, you can forgive what they did, but you forgive them from what that weight is tearing you down. So you can let them go and not have to have that shadow over you or that entity holding on to you anymore. Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into so after everything, how did you your process and like after that you figured out the stages, right? You with this PTSD, right? Because you had PTSD.
Well, let me say the story is not so clean as that.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that's me in a nutshell for.
In 2009, I'm in St. Paul, Minneapolis, and I'm trying to go to music school there. Not dealing with anything of the PTSD is going through. Fast forward 5 years later, I go to Musicians Institute in 2009 and, go through the whole entire process. It isn't until 2012, a little bit after I graduate, that shit really starts to hit me. That while I'm sitting with myself finally now for, a period of 8 hours, whereas before it was, 18 hours of school and then walking home. You had a lot to focus on. Well, when it's just you left, what do you do then? And eventually it started to wear on me because I realized I didn't have any ability to deal with my life as it was. And things started to get really out of control real fast. And eventually I had a temporary psychotic breakdown and it landed me in a VA hospital. And it wasn't until I was at the VA hospital that they showed me that there was a Volunteers of America inpatient clinic for PTSD survivors who were all in, some branch of the military. So they were all experienced some level of combat, whether they were infantry or not. They all had the experience and they were all dealing with PTSD. And it was an inpatient clinic. We're all going to essentially live together. And, it sounds like
in a housing, you guys just stay there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It sounds like the premise of Big Brother. However, this is not. And if it would have been the ugliest thing you've ever seen in your entire life, because truly this is the basic level of these people are at the absolute lowest. We have all hit rock bottom and we are all looking to get up. This is a spot where cameras do not belong. So I was truly grateful that I could spend, even the 6 months that I spent in there learning. And I had an entire team of psychologists and therapists who could help all of us through collectively what was going on with each of us individually. And it wasn't until I got there that I started to get an idea of what was possible. Because as an infantry person, I was very much about self-improvement. Learning, that's my thing, man. The more and more that you learn, the smarter you knowledge is power. I already knew that from way before. The infantry taught me that. But I never thought to apply the scientific method to how I was thinking. Can I apply a method of science to understanding how I'm thinking? And the answer is, yes, you can. And they have a process for that. And it's called CBT. And when you go through the process of CBT, man, you can start to face your demons. Man, you can start to face your fears. Man, you can start to understand the things that have been bugging you for fucking ever.
What's the long word for that? Sorry.
Cognitive behavioral therapy.
Perfect. Okay. Crazy. And how
It is a
long is that, like, that process for you, if you don't mind me asking? I know it'd be different for different people, but I mean, like, how long? And I know, like, it never ends. You know what I mean? Your whole life, you will have to. You know, for me, it's the same. You know what I mean? It's what's. But now it's my superpower. That's how I look at it. My ADHD is my superpower. You know what I mean? Like, all this shit is my superpower. Like, what else are you gonna throw at me that I can make me stronger? You know what I mean? At the end of the day,
right.
that's how I look at it. You know?
Right. Yeah. And that's a great way to look at it, because truly, not everybody is able to think about how they're thinking. Usually, they're just experiencing.
Mhm.
Metacognition is not something that happens naturally, it's learned. And when you learn it, you can't unlearn it.
Mhm.
That's the cool part about it. That once you start to realize, oh, I'm feeling like this, I don't have to be like that, but I can feel like that.
Mhm.
Once you start to realize that difference and actually accept that reality, man, the world becomes a different place.
Mhm.
Very, very different place. Now the things around you don't have to react to every single thing that you see. You don't have to fix the world. You don't have to go through all of these processes to try and right the things that, just need to be. Nah, man. You can live and let live. Accept the things that you can control, let go of the things that you can't control.
Mhm.
Those processes of the 12-step program are in there too. Understanding that there is a process of going through using the 12 steps without a higher power. I highly recommend it. Don't think that you just need to have a higher power in order to get through the 12 steps. Wrong. You can do it without it. And it's
Mhm.
very, very important to realize that true independence comes from ourselves. It doesn't come from an imaginary deity. It's never going to come from an imaginary deity. We project those values onto it. It doesn't retain them. You retain them. And if you fuck it up, you fucked it up. God didn't fucking do it. You fucked it up. And if you can take responsibility for your own actions to the people who you act upon, you are more of a man than just about 90% of the rest of the world. So if you can do that, guess what? You're better than God, because God can't do that. And I know Christians are going to come after me, and I don't give a fuck, because I've been dealing with this theology for a good long time. I fought a fucking war over it. So you really want to talk to me? I can give you some goddamn examples for real.
Yeah, I
However,
mean,
the reality of
lived
it
it,
stays
man.
the same. The more and more that we are able to be aware of our own level of thinking, the smarter we will become, the more aware of an acceptance of humanity as it is can become a real thing, instead of, oh, those are weird people just doing weird things. They're crying over there. I don't want to deal with it. No. You can start to understand and appreciate things because you have experienced, not just because you have experienced them too, but because you understand the human experience is something that is 8 billion times reflecting upon itself all the time. There are 8 billion ways to live a life.
Mhm.
And if you can't understand the 8 billion ways they're living them are all relatively acceptable ways of living a life, it's possible to live your life that way. Maybe not always you should, because we are human. However, if you can appreciate and learn from the things that are good that you can adapt into and make something better from your life from, then that is something that is good.
And you
Even if
get
that society
freedom.
is totally different than you. That's what creates a good society, is when we can learn from each other and have a dialogue with each other despite our differences.
And you get freedom too, you know what I mean? You're not your head. I mean, that's okay. So this is the thing, is like, if a man can stay in his house, or a woman, whatever, it doesn't matter, a human being, stay in his house, a long time without seeing anybody, but be happy, but have friends on the side, but be happy, and
Mhm.
not worry about anything. That's free. You know what I mean? You can walk around, you're free. You don't have to worry about things, like, if you can be like that, like, you have your mind free, you're not, like, you're clear. I'm not really explaining it properly, but, like, you're clear, it's like,
Mhm.
but when you're sitting there and you're thinking about shit and you got it going on, man, you're cloudy, and half the time that, like, we're stressing over or thinking about is shit that you can't even solve in that moment, shit that, like, what, like, last night, I'll tell you straight up, last night my girls was going over about a bunch of stuff, and she was stressing herself out, and I stopped her. I'm like, okay, so what can we do right now to fix all this? Like, what action can you take right now so we can fix A, B, and C right now? She's like, well, nothing. I'm like, well, why the fuck are you worrying about it right now then? Why don't you figure out what you need to do, what action, and then when you're be able to take that action, then we'll worry about it. You're
Yes.
just, what you're doing is you're closing all these doors in your mind, and you're not letting all this new shit be able to come in because you're too worried about what else is going on that you can't fix right now in this moment, which now
Yes.
you're wasting time, you know?
Yes, it is. It is much more common than I think people would really let on, because we were not told these things by our parents. We were not told to do these things by our school. We were not told to do these things to, help our mental health, because they either didn't care or assumed that you were doing it anyway.
Yeah.
But the internet has come to reveal how humanity truly is. And some of us are surprised. A lot of us need an explanation. And some of us are like, yeah, we knew. And
Yeah.
and so this is one of those things where we worry about the stuff that we can't control all the time because it's outside of our locus of control. But when we realize that there are things that are inside our internal locus of control, then we can do that. And you broke down that argument without using any of that stupid fucking jargon to bring it home to her right away. What can you do about it now? If you can't do anything about it now, you gotta let it go.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's tough. It's never fucking easy, especially when you are not conditioned to think like that at all. If you're not given the experience to think like that, it's going to be like, what? Man, you're not even caring about how I feel at all. And in their mind, they're right. However, objectively, they're wrong. But are they going to be able to see that? Maybe, maybe not.
I got that too. I'm like, no.
I know. I've been there before.
Yeah. I'm like, no, listen to me right now. Right. And then I had to pull out my crayons and draw a little picture, and she understood after that. Right. But I mean, it's true. And it blows my mind. Like, even like, this is the mindset now. Like, I've talked about this. The worst thing for me is road rage. I can't. It's hard for me, right? I honestly, it's just hard. I don't know, right? And I've learned though to start controlling it and be like, oh, okay, this guy coming. Maybe he's having a bad day, And I've really now tried to take myself out of my own selfishness, because at the end of the day, everybody has a story. And I saw a picture the other day, and it was a guy driving in a car, right? And he's like, oh, everybody in this traffic is thinking about me or something. He says something, right? Because he's blaring some music. It's the type, whatever. But then there's a whole bunch of other cars, and they're thinking about their own self. You know what I mean? And and it's like, people think that you're the main character in everybody else's fucking story. But hello, you are not. You're the main character in your own, man.
Yes, that level of we do have that understanding.
Yeah,
there's in our society, main character energy really is a thing. It was a description of people just being selfish, essentially. When you're living in a where it's necessary to have a collective use of things. Like, for example, back in the day, they had one phone. So the whole street had one phone, right?
The whole street.
Yeah, like I'm talking like 18, like when the phone was first invented, like they had that. And it was one of those things where you had to have a communal understanding of using. Nowadays, there's very few communal things that we really have as a society.
Yeah.
Very few. Like, we have things where we get together, but what about the collective sacrifice? Do we ration fuel anymore? No. Do we ration steel? I know people from that generation who are like, what happened? What happened in the days when we would sacrifice for the betterment of our country as civilians? We would give up shit because it was going towards a war effort, or it was going to this. We only do that through random philanthropy now.
Farmers used to do that in World War II. They cut all their crops down, I think, for hemp, for weed. And the government asked them to grow hemp and cut all their crops. And then after they fucking legalized it, legalized it. Sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. And then said it's bad, but yet they were, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, asking for collective sacrifice from the government, everybody should be real fucking suspicious, especially now. So let's be real about that, all right?
Yeah,
especially now.
Yeah.
However, there was a benefit to exercising our empathy, that practice had that effect. So now we have to make up for it in our own. We have to find instances in which we can exercise our empathy. A lot of times we put it into our pets. A lot of times we put it into our kids, put it into their kids' sports programs. Like those are the simple avenues that are there. If you don't have any of those, then you have to start thinking bigger. You have to start thinking, what about the things that I say? What about the things that I do? And as a musician, I started to assimilate all of that and put that into the music. I started to make the music the thing that was the vehicle to get the message out to people so that they start exercising their empathy in the stories that I'm telling. In order to understand the story, you got to exercise your empathy.
I love that.
And now it's like a workout, and they don't even realize they're working out.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like I love the style of your music, man. Like, can you tell like kind of like the style? Because like I was trying to like figure it out. I'm not gonna lie, and no homo here, but like I was in the shower listening to like your song, like because I was all day because I like to get what I mean and
Sure.
listen. And the Nemesis song actually I really like, and the style that you do that too is I like that, man. I really do.
Thank
that
you.
one hit me the most, to be honest with you.
Yeah, right on. I'm glad. Yeah, so I would say, I mean, the line that we use is punk, metal, and grunge. It's a combination of all of those three, and we use different avenues depending on the feeling that the song requires. So, like for example, I'm not going to try to put Skeleton Chair into the format that Nemesis goes into. It's different. However, they are still aspects of the same genre, just reflected in different ways. So. Nemesis, I deliberately tried to step outside to start grabbing from a hip hop.
Yeah,
to
I
grab the
that.
genre from hip hop because to me, the choruses and everything else, that's Metallica, man. That's straight up Metallica. It's exactly the kind of thing that Metallica would do. However, the verses, I took those from Aaliyah, Tell Me You're That Somebody, Timbaland. So I took that rhythm and put it in a rock context, sped it up just a little bit, and made that the verse for a Metallica-sized chorus and bridge that goes along with it. So I'm mixing Aaliyah and Metallica.
Yeah. But that's why I was like, that's why I said like it was unique, man, and it's different, and I like it, and like I could feel like the rap, but like the rock grunge kind of like, you know what I mean? I like it, man. I do. It's definitely different. I've never heard something like this before, to be honest with you. So
yeah,
man.
I'm glad to bring you into a new world, a whole new world. I'm glad. I view the genres in general as ballparks, and then I choose the section in which I want to live in. And sometimes I'm going to end up sitting in the aisle, and you still have to make that work. Sometimes you plop yourself right down in center field and be like, I'm just going to be here, man. You want to make a stake a claim, go running across that center field line when they're playing, and you'll make a big scene about it. It won't always be to your advantage, but you'll make a scene. You can start to think of music like that. And to me, that's kind of what a lot of people are writing with trends and fads. If you view it as they're just the streaker running across center field, then they don't really have an effect on the game.
Yeah.
They have an effect on the audience, but is the audience going to remember, oh, the streaker was 1 and everybody else was 0? No, they're going to remember the scoreboard, the names that are on the scoreboard. That's what they're going to remember. So I think it's important to remember that in perspective, that we're making the music that is chock full of information and feelings and experiences and all of the real things. That's not meant for TikTok's shallow, consumption. So now we have to cut it back down, take our 15-foot sandwich and bring it back down to just a tiny 6-inch sandwich and be able to sell that 20,000 times over again. It doesn't always translate. It doesn't always make sense. The algorithm doesn't know how to deal with it. But the thing that I've found, and I will continue to do this forever, even if I don't even cross the threshold for it, but I think we already have in a lot of ways, reaching over 1 million streams on Spotify. About 6.5 million or so on TikTok, and an extra 30 or so million from influencer stuff. We've demonstrated that there is an appetite for this, that there is that the rock world needs new blood, needs new information, it needs something to not just the same shit over and over again. And they've done the same thing over and over and over again. There's a real modern sound, and it's very, very well trodden. And everybody is, very much
Is
into
it
it.
4 chords or whatever, right? The 4
Yeah.
chords that just, yeah, man.
I mean, but it's more than that. It's not just
No,
about
I know
chords.
that.
It's about
I know that. Yeah.
it's about the mentality in which they're making this music.
Yeah.
They're not making it because it's, existential for their lives. If it's the
No,
last
it's
thing
just
that they
money,
would
man.
say.
Half the time is this,
Right.
you
And
know?
so then we have to then take our message and then turn it into something that is monetized. That's really the difficult part of it. But I will, that's a hill I'm willing to die on because I know that I put 100% of myself into it.
Well, you're
That's the
fighting real
success.
demons out there. Like real
Right.
fucking demons are in these industries,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
like
I mean, living a
good-
life is
yeah.
one thing.
Yeah, I mean, my buddy, and he is like Tom McDonald. He grew up here with us. He's
Yeah.
a great guy. He's doing great now. He's rapping and he's top, but he doesn't. He's not signing shit, because he doesn't want to be a part of that stuff. And they were coming after him, man. You know what I mean? But he's like, no, and he's rapping about the shit that they don't want to hear. The truths, but it's what people need to hear. It's the real stuff, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And, there will, as long as the internet is there, I'm sure that the experiences and opinions of everybody will be shareable. But right now, there is a lot of concerns about throttling, network
What's
throttling.
throttling?
So, view throttling, commonly referred to as shadow banning.
I'm shadow banned right now on TikTok. I get no, I'm live on TikTok right now, but I get no views. I was telling you earlier, I get nothing. I just have to, it just came up here while we're live right now, and it just told me that I can't. I have to. My content's no good right now, and I have to now try to fight to make sure so I can stay on TikTok. Fuck you.
Yeah, you have to talk with them all the time, and you have to abide by terms of service. I knew the second that because I watch different live streamers who are on TikTok, and they have a process for restarting their stream when they when someone gets a ban, especially on the debate things. If somebody comes up and starts yelling the N-word all the time, it immediately flags it. Then they have to do the restart over and over again.
Do it again.
So there's a process to go through it, and yes, it is really annoying, and but that is the environment that we are dealing with in one instance. We have many different other instances in which Twitch streaming, Discord streaming, YouTube streaming is totally different. You have to get to a different level of subscribers. Yeah, I think I'm still getting used to the entire thing. But I will say that I'm very much a pro First Amendment, free speech. Very much about we cannot let the government punish people for speech.
But there's no such thing anymore, man. They've taken that away. Realistically, let's be realistic, man. It's gone. There's no such thing.
The Trump administration has definitely decided that we are going to punish you for speech. That is very obvious. Just with the cancellation of Stephen Colbert, with the arrestment of Don Lemon, with him constantly referring to all journalists as enemies of people. That is obviously completely against the tenet of the First Amendment of the government not punishing speech. That's obviously what he's doing. The thing that I'm the most surprised about is the capitulation where they don't say, fuck you, back to him. He's just the president. He's just a guy with an office, and you don't even have to respect the office. You're not even required to respect the office. The only thing that we're required to do is to hold truth to power. That's the only thing that we are required to do. And the reason why we're required to do that is because our democracy hangs in the balance. So when our journalists, when they replace all of the journalists with stupid ass sycophants, and so we don't even get a chance to ask real questions in the White House, opera room or whatever the fuck they call it. When we don't even get that chance, that's when things have truly gone off the rails. That's when every single Trump supporter should be like, that's the end of it. That's when I don't support him anymore. That's when I don't support this administration. The whole thing is done. When they take away your First Amendment speech, they never plan on giving it back, ever. And if that's the thing that you are proud about ushering in, I've got some news for you. You shouldn't be fucking proud about it.
Well, I'm in Canada, so we're fucked over here too.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Problem over here.
But yeah, I mean, hey, Canada. I have found that Canada has also a very interesting way, an interesting political, give and take. At least, correct me if I'm wrong. it's much more liberal based. There's more liberal politicians in the Canadian Parliament than there are conservative, right?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
So in that way, it's created a lot of them trying to hedge free speech.
Hedge it? What do you mean by hedge it?
Like, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but was there a thing about offensive speech, like them trying to say you can't say offensive speech like just in public, or was that? Am I making that up?
I haven't heard anything, me personally.
Okay,
I'm from Vancouver, and everybody's miserable over here, and everybody's telling everybody to go fuck themselves. So I don't think it would matter.
Well,
all the gas prices and the house prices here, no one's happy, man. So
so maybe I'm like 10 years, 15 years behind the curve, and it doesn't even fucking matter anymore, which is very, very, very possible.
I know. Actually, somewhere in Canada, the cops actually came up and showed up to someone's house because they made an Instagram post saying something about the government. Fuck the government. It wasn't like I'm gonna kill them or anything like that, but it was just like something like that, right? So I know they did show up to someone's house, and I've heard the FBI showing up to people's houses also in the States. I heard that's a thing as well for stuff like that, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, man. The worst part about it has been the expansion of ICE into fucking with anyone who has an accent or is brown. I mean, that's just very obviously racist. I mean, that's not even part of policing. Like, not only is their charter not allowing them to do that specifically, but just the fact that they're also doing it.
I can't really go too much into that stuff because that's out of my I don't want to go. Just because I got people on both sides and I respect both sides, so that's all. I just want to I gotta just so there. But sorry. But I want more about your music, bro. Please tell us. So like where do you do like lives? Can people find you doing lives as well? Or
I'm looking into starting a live kind of show. Lately I've just been doing short form content.
Okay.
And obviously the long form with podcasts and stuff. But I'm starting to think that I want to test this system that I've got. And I'm starting to get better and better with it to start doing live shows where I'm playing covers and my own music and just doing that instead of going out and trying to book shows and stuff right off the bat.
I just want to give people on your fingertips, not tits, fingertips. Yeah.
But
you got it right there. Yeah, fingertips. Yeah. I'd be like this all day. Just blowing air on them.
Just blowing.
But I mean, like you have like the whole world right there. Like I was saying like earlier, and shout out to like Vietnam, man. You guys are third big country watching us, which is crazy, blows my way. But I mean, so like you can reach the world, and people can come to your show without even leaving your house. And that's the beauty for it. That's the beautiful thing about it.
And I've also found that it helps all of the interaction engagement. And this is kind of what I was meaning about throttling before. They control the feeds and who it goes out to based off of a particular group of test people they have before. Some of them are bots, some of them are not. Mm-hmm. They don't know. And they just send it out, and they do that incrementally all the time. So if you give the algorithm a reason to continue to share it, then that's when it shares. Not because it's good content. Not because it makes sense, not because it's about you, not because it's any of the other reasons that you might associate this means good content to people. No, it's whether it means good content to the algorithm, to an AI that's viewing it, not to people.
I have that problem all the time, man. I have that problem all the time with this.
Yeah, we're all subject to it. And this was the problem.
That wave. If you catch that wave, then you go. But then as soon as you fall off, you're like, and it's,
Yeah. And that's this is it's social media has become the avenue for marketers. It's not for people anymore. It's for marketers and people who want to be advertised to. And when you think of it like that, that's not social media. That's just that's just interactive commercials from TV.
Online shopping mall almost, right?
Yeah.
It's like an online shopping mall. Yeah. They have those in China now, man. They're doing them in China. It's a huge thing. Online shopping malls. There's a lady and she takes a purse. There's like a conveyor belt and they just go like this, buy this, boom, buy this, boom, buy this, boom,
Yeah. Yeah. So So I think that, bands are still thinking, we need to, this is how we get engagement. And some of them are lucky where they can establish that doing the same thing over and over and over again.
Mhm.
And then it catches the algorithm because it's the same. That also works.
Mhm.
That's an important thing to remember, that you're going to end up repeating yourself so many goddamn times, doing the exact same thing over and over and over endlessly.
I've seen the
But that's what
TikToks.
will break you on TikTok.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the counterintuitive is, especially for me, I'm, thinking about the new thing, constantly improving. I'm the eternal student. I'm always want to be learning. So I'm always coming up with new things. Well, that's not the place. That's not where you put new things, is not on TikTok.
Mhm.
You don't put you put things that are already established on TikTok, that are already into an algorithm. You don't just try to break new molds no. Not until
Yeah.
you already have a dedicated audience that you can then break it. You have to
Yeah,
play
it's
this stupid fucking game. And I hate it. I hate it to the max. I
No,
can't
man.
stand it. I want to burn to the ground every single person who thought that this was ever a good idea. Yes. However, I can't do any of that. I don't have any control over it whatsoever. So eventually all I can do is try to train the algorithm to me and hope
Yeah.
to God that it works out. And other
What-
than that, what else do you really have besides buying it?
Yeah.
Because that's what the market is. You buy it
Mhm.
and you get it.
Well,
But
here,
that's
you know
not
that
reality.
a lot of people are restarting their, like, for instance, TikTok, right? A lot of people are restarting their page again because as soon as you make a new one, you catch that algorithm wave, and it's a matter of if it's going to keep you up or not. So that's
Yeah.
why a lot of people restart their TikToks and get a new TikTok, like Raw Minds 2.0, blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which there
I
isn't, so
understand.
don't follow it. But yeah, and they ride it. I mean, I'm only keeping this. I don't really give a shit at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like, TikTok doesn't like I talk about men's mental health. It doesn't like that I actually talk about real shit. I say the real things. Like, I can't say suicide on TikTok. Well, too bad. I just fucking did. So go fuck yourself, because it's a true thing that everybody in this world has at least known someone or is dealing with. You know what I mean? And we shouldn't
Yeah.
hide behind these fucking things. We should be talking about them and making it aware, so then people know, but it's just
Very much
it's
so.
fucked, man. It's
And-
fucked.
and
It's
it's-
control.
It is. And especially for our, especially for the veteran community, it's an extremely important topic. And it's
Yeah.
something that will inevitably save lives when people can see that it's okay to talk about
Yeah.
what happened to you in service, that it's
Yeah.
okay to talk about some of the things that were absolutely atrocious, that don't have a righteous answer to it, that maybe paints it in a light that maybe this entire thing that we were doing was ill-formed from the very, very beginning. Those realizations are deserving of public conversation, because it's a decision that we all collectively made together, and it was
Yeah.
a bad one, and it ended up with a lot of terrible results that we need to talk about, one of which
Exactly, man.
being constant epidemic of suicide in the veteran communities. Not just in the veteran communities, but in the world community. It's a thing, and it's because people are at their lowest. They don't have the answers that they need. But one of the things that I'm trying to put forth is something that I learned from when I was at my lowest. And that is the two things that you're missing when you're suicidal is, one, perspective. You're missing the bigger picture. You're missing the perspective of you from the outside. You're only seeing it from the pain that you're feeling in the moment. And that's okay. It's okay to feel that pain. It's okay to sit with that pain, like we had talked about earlier. It's much more important to sit with it than it is to try and delegate it away. Sometimes you just have to accept it. And my music is all about that. However, the point is that perspective is what will help you see the next tomorrow that you need to get there. And the second thing that will continue through, gratitude. And if you cannot find a thing around you to be grateful for, if you can't find any person around you who has done you right, and it is very possible that you are surrounded by assholes, that you still have to retain gratitude for yourself to say, I'm thankful that I got through all of this. We used to have a saying in therapy, hey, at least I'm not being shot at anymore. Which is a harsh
Or
reality
thankful
to
you
realize
woke up, man.
that it really isn't that bad, that you've been
Yeah.
through worse, and that you can get through this as well. So that gratitude helps you get to another place of resilience and defiance and understanding instead of sadness, loss of hope, loss of feelings, and abandonment.
I think that's great I think that's the best to end this off, man. Like, that was beautiful. You hit it right on the note. The hammer, the hammer on the nail. There we go. Whatever the fuck it is, something like that.
Yeah.
Fuck it. But yeah, it was, and it's true, man. It really is true. And I thank you for, coming on here and just blowing me away with, like, your fuck TED Talks, like the way that you did it. It was
Maybe
awesome,
that'll be the
man.
new segment. It's fuck TED Talks.
There. Love it. There you go, man. Well, maybe that'll be the name. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, man. I really appreciate you coming out here, and like, you actually really opened up my eyes on, like, right off the bat, what you talked about there, and it really put in perspective. I never thought about that. There's so much evil, and we're sucking that all in. We're like vacuum sucking that all, and we gotta deflect it like judo, like you said, man. So I appreciate that. And I just want to say too, all your links will be in the bio, so everybody check it out. Since we're at the end of the show, now you can go and check out all the links, right? So, and no skipping ahead. Anyways, brother, I just want to say thank you again for coming out for Raw Minds, and we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
Thanks for having me.
Raw Minds.
Really good.
Men's Mental Health. Hosted by Erick. Follow, subscribe, like, share. For the ones we never meet, you're not alone.